Hello, and welcome once again to another thrilling episode of Cosmic Crit. I'm Jabert, the toast of the host, your bug with the pretty mug, your insect everyone's happy to inspect. We've got a fun show for you today, but first, a little news you can use. Our friends over at Paizo are playtesting a new class, and they are looking for some feedback, folks. The class is the Precog, and let me tell you, it's a wild one. We're talking a caster class with a Dex key ability score and a pool of pre-rolled dice. You're going to want to get your hands on this one and take it out for a little spin. I've already practiced building Trest as a Precog, and here are just a few of the features. So, my level 8 Precog Trest has a pool of 4 pre-rolled dice, and he can substitute them for ability checks, caster level checks, initiative rolls, any saves, skill checks, and attacks. So now, what if the pre-rolls that you do are a little lackluster and you only get like a 5 or 6 or something? Well, you can sub lower rolls out for damage dice. So you could substitute a pre-rolled 8 on a d20 for a damage roll of 1 on a d8 and go from minimum damage on that damage roll to maximum damage, right? So let's say you roll a natural 1. What are you going to do with that? Well, you can actually use that as a bonus to your AC as a reaction. All of that, plus you're pretty decent with all kinds of weapons, especially ranged weapons, given the Dex bonus or the Dex key ability score, all without having to sacrifice your spell DCs. It's pretty powerful, and I'm happy to see casters get a little bit of loving here. But what's most important is what you think. So go forth, Crittermanders, and play this class. And when you do, head over to starfinderplaytest.com and let the good folks at Paizo know what you think. They appreciate all sorts of feedback, but the most useful is feedback from actually playing the class. So get to building and browbeat your GM into letting you use it in your game, and then let Paizo know what you think. The playtest ends on December 25th, 2020, so we've only got about a month to go. So give this class a try, and then go to starfinderplaytest.com to answer a survey and leave feedback. Again, that's starfinderplaytest.com, and the deadline is December 25th. Well, that's all the news we have right now, so I won't delay any longer, listeners. Please sit back, or walk around as the case may be, and prepare yourselves for episode 161, Midnight Squad and the Temple of Rooms.
Episode commencing in 3, 2, 1. Episode initiated.
Whoa, Nelly! It's time to super suit up and grab a handy plasma blaster as we take on the Evil Queen Slug for a butt in this week's installment of Earth Crit Gem. This is Patrick speaking, your GM here, your General Major Mucus, welcoming you back to Buttville, that we also call Cosmic Crit. With me this week are 5 adventurers hoping to worm their way through another episode, so join me in welcoming them back to New Junk City from going down the tubes. To my right, this Strix is not a Psychro, but she flies high with the birds. It's Rebecca rolling with a Zinnia.
Hello.
Across from her, a sentient trash can that's ready to take out the garbage. It's Drew delivering Echo 7.
Ow! Ow!
To my right, stepping into the ultra high-tech, indestructible super space cyber suit, turns him into a giant sentient bug. It's Tyler, dredging up Davasho.
Good evening.
Across from him, he is just happy to see me, or is it that he's sporting a pocket rocket? It's Jabert playing as Trest.
Oh, thanks. Hi.
And across the digital table, this little plant knows the way to take down the bug broodies with a single well-placed shot. It's Miles mixing it up with Sprouts.
Good evening. You're not going to cite me out, Tyler. I can see you. I can see you. I can see you.
I was like, maybe if I steal it from him, he won't do it.
And this is after the therapy session we had before we started recording tonight.
The last greeting of this season is remaining solid. I am not going to let this position be sullied like you and Drew did for 3 years.
Listeners, I try my best each and every week to bring you a fun final quip at the end of the intro. Miles is having none of it this season.
Miles is just anchoring the end of the intro, the intro's outro perfectly well every time. Boy, howdy.
Look, next season 4, you can do whatever you want. I wash my hands of it.
Oh, Patrick is never letting me go last ever again. So I'm not gonna hold my breath.
It might be a while. I'm reading my notes here from when we tried recording this episode like a month ago now, and the thing that had just happened was Hurricane Epsilon had knocked out Drew, Rebecca, and Miles's power. That's a while ago, right?
It was man,
fun times. My power was out for 4.5 days.
That's hilarious. We've since pushed this recording back 2 more times, which is one of the reasons we record an episode or 2 in advance in case someone's power goes out. Or
this is probably the closest from recording to release that we've done in a long time.
I was going to say, is
season 1 maybe?
Does this come out next week?
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
Wow.
We're in dire straits.
Whoa! We can be topical. Oh, we can be topical.
Well, by a week.
Let's not. The most topical I'll be is I want it said that Earthworm Jim's creator is trash. The
end. 20 years odd later, getting that in there.
Don't even care.
Should we date ourselves more? Just hold up a newspaper with the date on it? Or,
it's 11/16.
Yeah, we record the same day that our episodes come out, so it gets a little confusing. But today, episode 160 came out, and this is episode 161. Yeah, everyone's back, ready to record. Let's step back to talk to you, Miles. Find out from Sprouse Marlowe. Get a quick recap of what happened last time, because we forget what happened on Cosmic Crit.
We took a scout on the comets for clues of some kind of underground entrance after we found no sign of one from the Temple of Hylax. Stepping out in the cold always bothered me. Whether it was tracking down bail jumpers on Epsilon Station or seeking out ancient relics of the past in the vast, it makes no difference. Mystery is a mystery. We engaged some of the local flora and fauna in the form of a grabby shantak and a large ice elemental. But nothing could stop us from finding the entrance to the caves of the underground. And find it we did. Only now to be met with some more goons holding up our entrance. 3 harmed by the looks of their armor. And the weapons, that they may look for a fight.
Indeed, that's where we last left off when
I forgot about that.
Yeah, Jabert's internet went out last time we tried to record this episode. I'm sure you guys are now fully on the edge of your seat for the conclusion. You've made it through the gateway that you believe will indeed lead down to some kind of subterranean tunnel system or something below the surface. But it is indeed, as you open the door, guarded by Han guards. And these are 8 foot, 9 foot tall, walking large sentient spider people. Is that a pretty apt description of what you're seeing here on the art?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Han.
Just go, howdy.
Yeah, it looks sort of like I don't even know how to like there's a crab on top of a person's body.
They got a crab head.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much like a large kind of bulbous spider, but more of a tarantula style, very thick limbed.
Yeah, very big mandibles.
Yeah,
sort of look like praying mantis sort of forearms, forelimbs.
We don't talk about it nearly enough, but one of my favorite things about the Starfinder world is just about every crazy alien race that you come across, there's stats to play, like any sentient race, including Han. They're in there.
Mm-hmm.
They're cool.
I think they're in Alien Archive 1. So
wow. That sounds.
I remember them being early. Yeah,
they were early.
Anyway,
they're pretty good.
This guy, the main one, was playing cards. He gets up with a large swoop hammer, drawn, just kind of leaning on his shoulder, and in Sheeran says,
It be your business here. Answer in the name of a glory, or be repelled out into the cold from which ye came.
Tress will step forward and say, hold, we come in the name of Hylax.
Let's see here. You can tell from their garb, they do have what looks like a Hylaxian symbol on their robes now that you get a better look at them. Zinnia, why don't you make me a life science check? I'll tell you what you can notice about these Han.
Holy heck.
36.
All right, starting the episode off with an 18 on the dice.
What don't you know about these guys?
These Hans seem to be of a similar age. They are young malts. 2 boys and 1 female here. As you're talking to them, they seem to be mainly speaking Sheeran. This one will say to you, Trest,
Come here in the name of Hylax for sure, but your intentions, perhaps they're not as pure as you believe.
still menacing with the hammer, and the other 2 now will have their weapons not drawn, but on them as they stand up and indeed form just a barricade in this small entryway. You could see a door, a large 10-foot door past them, maybe about 15 feet.
Mm-hmm. I apologize. Jabert needs a little bit of help remembering exactly how we got here.
Yeah, so you found the Forever Reliquary, the comet that seems to be a focus of the Church of Hylax, perhaps.
And we came here because the swarm was trying to find it, and so we figured that that was a good reason for us to find it first. Is that the idea?
Galchak's notes seem to belay that there is some important Hylaxian purpose for the Forever Reliquary, and indeed the swarm seem to be on about it. They seem to care a great deal about the Galchak's notes.
Okay, good. That's helpful. I just wanted to make sure I was gonna say something that was true.
Weren't we also led to believe that this was the site of Sheeran pilgrimages long ago or something like that?
Indeed, Tress' ancestor wrote in her journal about wanting to make the trip here. It was a little vague, like where exactly it was. And as you're coming to realize, the Forever Reliquary is a mobile site. It perhaps might not even stay in a single system.
I will answer them and say, we have intelligence that the swarm are seeking this place even now, and if the swarm are seeking something, they will not be delayed for long. We are only glad that we could arrive here before they did. We believe that there is something here that they seek. Please allow us entrance into the Forever Reliquary.
They seem a little, I don't know, not taken aback, but they don't seem to be believing everything you say. One of them, maybe the girl in the back, says,
"If any swarm have come here, it's because you've led them here. Our goddess will protect this rock as she has for hundreds of years."
We're still looking for the Eternal Melody, correct?
The Eternal Melody was a ship that you already found that was on the way here.
Oh, well, that was the name of the ship. Okay.
Yeah. This is the Forever Reliquary, you believe, this comet. Anyway, make me a diplomacy check, see if you can talk these guys down. And if anybody wants to aid, you can.
I was just going to straight roll.
I got a 20.
And we have
33.
Yeah, dang it, Miles. Good roll.
I will say, Devasha, did you want to say something to them as another insectoid race?
Maybe just addressing the female's comments specifically, he would say,
"On our home planet, we had many holy sites to Hylax, and when they descended on our planet, those sites did not save anyone. Hylax protects us, but we must also protect each other, and her power will not be able to stop them from overwhelming this site if they find it."
They seem to agree with you there. Miles, if you want to sweet talk them as well, by the time they get to sprout. They're like,
Okay, we believe your intentions be true. I am Kiarth, and these are my siblings, Nurich and Yacherd.
They'll introduce themselves to you all.
Kiarth, Nurich, and Archard.
Yacherd.
We greet you, guardians of this place.
Yes, we have been self-assigned guard duty. Not that there's many that come this way, save pilgrims.
Indeed. Were you visited by the crew of the Eternal Melody? Did they manage to complete their pilgrimage, or?
They kind of look at one another and
say, we have not had anyone come here for some time, the better part of a year.
Were you aware of the one claiming to be a false deity who existed above?
We do not go to the surface often. Some of the acolytes will go up there to tend to the temple, but it has been some time since they've braved the cold.
They'll open the doors for you into the facility and walk a short way with you as you guys are talking. But as you turn from obviously kind of constructed series of hallways, it will open up into a larger cavern, almost a tunnel through the rock here that will gently slope downwards. You can feel the tug of that artificial gravity a little bit more. Standing in the way at the end of this tunnel, you can see before you a Trox, a female Trox, very large and imposing. Though as she moves forward to greet you here, you realize, for as large as she is, her movements and her gestures with her very large hands are very gentle, very, very kind. And as she's moving forward on extremely heavy feet, you're not able to hear these footfalls. She wears dense robes emblazoned with Hylax's symbol. You see no weapons on her. She is holding her hands in front of her, palms out, as that the show that she is indeed unarmed. And in sharing, she will greet you and says,
Welcome to the site of grace. Welcome to the comet of the trials. Welcome to the forever reliquary.
Roll credits.
I said the titular line, guys.
I'll make some gesture of respect from within the church.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps something like this, where you sort of draw the queen's crown over your head.
Did they mention trial?
It did.
My name is Tuva, and we have seen your deeds, and we have felt your presence, for we have been waiting for you, especially for you, Devasho of the Blight.
She will step forward, this large Trox, Tyler, and places a meaty hand on your shoulder and kind of stares just right into your soul through your one eye. You feel a psychic connection kind of pushing into you, being formed, and internally at the same time, your moat seems to be screaming in deafened silence as this kind of connection warms you and kind of connects to your aura. And it's in that moment, perhaps you as a character can guess this as well, but you become aware of many things in that single connection, for maybe not the least of which is that this woman, Tuva, this Trox, is blood related to you. You can kind of tell from the modeling of their shell that perhaps she's on your broodmother's side of the family. Secondly, you can feel like there's indeed something greater connecting you both, as You feel the hole in your undead heart kind of filled within her presence. And as she's keeping this physical and psychic connection all at once, your kind of minds lock as well. And she'll continue on and say, "Suffice to say, we have waited for you for a long while. My own goddess's son, prodigal scion of my line. We have indeed waited for you."
You speak of things that I do not entirely understand, but a lot of it I simply feel. I am happy to meet you, Tuva, and I have not felt this kind of, this feeling of home in many, many days.
All of you, I'm sure, have a million questions, and I would love to answer all of them in time, though sadly I fear that time is rather fleeting for you all.
Why is that?
You come here trying to hold onto the sands of time within your hands as war rages across your system. You come here for answers, and I understand. Our methods will perhaps be a little slower than what you are accustomed to. She will lead you through another series of rocky tunnels that seem to connect the surface with the interior of the rock. And that artificial gravity you feel beneath you will come to form kind of standard gravitational pull. And you'll step through a couple pressurized doors and eventually make it to a place where you guys can take off your vibro protections, and there's complete atmosphere here.
Is there a spot where we could possibly charge these?
Yeah. She'll come towards the entrance. I imagine there's a place where you see a few other pressurized suits. Tuva continues and will say,
I am the abbot of this place. This is a temple of Hylax, hundreds of years in the making, and we call it the Forever Reliquary. Are any of you hurt? I can see to your wounds before we proceed, if need be.
I have not looked at my character sheet in some time. Hold on.
I was like, that's a great question. Am I hurt?
No, yes.
It's been like 3 weeks since I looked at my character sheet.
Tuva, I am hurt. I have about half my normal health.
Something tells me that my normal attempts at healing you might be for naught at the moment. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, we shall deal with that in due time. Is anyone else hurt?
How'd you all get out of it being just... What happened? What happened on this show?
I wish I could tell you. I have no idea.
I healed as many people as I could, and I tried to heal you, but I'm not the one who made an undead character.
I don't think I got hit.
Not just an undead character, a character that can't be healed by things that heal undead as well.
It's 50%. And listen, I didn't choose that. That was a bad roll, okay? I mean, I guess
no one else ended up with a dead heart.
She'll lead you into a kind of like an antechamber, and you guys can hear what sounds like in your minds a gong, a temple bell kind of like ringing, and all at once psychic chatter as perhaps hundreds of voices rising all at once just beyond the next set of doors. Tuva will bring you here and perhaps a little nervously look about you and say,
"So first things first, I must admit you to our monastery's sacred assembly. Please just be yourselves and on your best behavior, and you will do fine. I understand not all of you worship her divine path, but this introduction is merely a formality for our church, you see, and it will be over before you know it."
Know that after this, if you bring other people here, you will be rewarded with compensation. Then if they bring people here, it goes on and so forth.
Multi-level
Worshipping? I'll give them
It's an MLW.
Wait a minute. Are all churches scams to just bring more and more people into them and have larger followers? Wait a minute.
Yeah.
These cult of personalities. Thanks for a minute. No.
So I will say Xenia is going to hide the crystals deeper into her backpack that she stole from that temple upstairs.
Guilty
Oops.
conscious. Yeah. Do they know that you did this? You don't have many looks between you and Tuva, but you feel her judging as she looks in your direction, Xenia. Just judgment. She'll lead you through the hallways of the monastery, past a few more. There's other insectile creatures here in robes and things, and they kind of regard you with friendly curiosity. Shirins and Hods and Bolitas. Tuva will shoo off a few lollygagging Shirins in robes and bring you to the front of a large temple room where there's many benches and a few different concourses here in front of a large stage. And let me take us there on the map.
New map.
Huge map.
Oh boy, zooming out. Prepare to zoom out.
Enhance.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so there's a massive temple that is before you as you walk forward. Pews ranging from small to large, filling in the bulk of the room, while perhaps some additional seating and boxes on the walls a level above for other parishioners. There's a towering statue of an insectile creature wearing long robes in the center here, just behind a dais with a long, low wall with 5 seats behind it. You see dozens of monks here filling the pews, as well as what looks like perhaps people just live and or work here at the Forever Reliquary. So hundreds of people, some of whom are still, as you guys enter the chamber, getting their seats and talking in low hush voices. Yeah, so that is what you see, and she'll gesture Tuva to one of these front pews for you guys to take a seat and wait for the assembly to proceed.
Is this like when you go to Rocky Horror and they ask you to raise your hand if it's your first time, and they put you on stage and make a whole big deal out of it?
Yes, it's just like that. Yeah, before she gets on stage, she'll be like, just follow my lead and tell them you've been here before, it'll be cool. Yeah, so as you guys sit down, Tuva will stand up on the dais in the front here, in front of what looks like 4 other high-ranking church members, a few Shirin, another Tronx, and a Formian. And she'll speak in a booming voice, as well as kind of like psychically project this out as well. And she starts the assembly saying, fellow devotees of Hylax, members of the sacred assembly, greetings of her benevolence upon you all this day. I have been your abbot for many years now, and I would like to think that I have earned your trust in that time. For my part, I trust you all implicitly, though I understand that you have reason to doubt from my behavior over the past few weeks. As I will be the first to admit, I perhaps have kept some of you at arm's length. Truth be told, it was at that time Hylax, in her wisdom, has seen fit to grant me visions of the future. There's like murmuring throughout the entire assembly here as she says that. What I have seen has made me sorely afraid. I connected with another priest of Hylax months ago and felt the devastation that was wrought on Suskalin. Devastation brought on by the Swarm, who are poised to overtake the entire galaxy as we know it. And from my visions, the path towards this end begins in less than 1 month. There's now a gasp that kind of ripples through the crowd, and Tuva raises her hand to gently speak over them and says, "But all is not yet lost. Oh, the Forever Queen has also shown me our potential salvation in the form of a group of outsiders. And I believe our new guests here today are those Hylax prophesied to me. Before we can ascertain their intent, let's have them speak to us all as to why they are here in their own words." She will indeed invite you up to the dais now to speak. Any and all of you, if you guys want to come up to talk, you don't have to, but the floor is yours, so to speak.
Who wants to go first?
Devasho, before this host and the goddess, I would ask your indulgence to speak now in truths and truths only in this hallowed place of you and your fellow soldiers. I would ask to use the power of Hylax to compel such truths from you all. Do I have your blessing?
Of course.
There's a swirling of her arms as a magical kind of form generates between them as she's starting to cast something. She's speaking in Nachakti, the Trox based language, like an ancient magical form of it. She is indeed casting a mystic spell. I'm sure some of you guys can guess it. Called Zone of Truth.
Zone of Truth!
Zone of Truth.
Welcome to the Zone of Truth tonight.
Where all lies come with a DC save.
Yes. Now you can, as she is asking you, just choose to fail and be entered into said Zone of Truth. If you would like to try and make a will save, you can. It's not like you have to, there's no way to rightly tell if you do or do not make said save, unless someone was very keen on figuring that information out.
So many. I was not ready.
Sprouts has rolled a 19. Echo 7 has rolled a 19. Anybody else want to roll?
No, I'm good.
Okay. So, but everyone is willing to stand within the zone and have this cast on you. So that's the important part.
Yeah, I don't feel like Sprouts has anything to hide, really. So even though I wrote a saving roll because it's fun, I don't think Sprouts cares at all in terms of what's going on here.
Sure. Right. So go ahead and Devasho, did you want to say something at the forefront here?
Sure. I do not pretend to know why I am here and why the Forever Queen has brought me to this place and what role I may have in the future, but I do know that, much like you all, I have family. I have family that I love and care about dearly, and I come here today to try and find the means by which I can save them. And if that means that I can save not just my family, but everyone's family, then I promise I will do everything that I can to try and make that a reality. I also know that there is a darkness inside me that I wish to see purged, and I hope that Hylax sees fit to help me along that path. And I thank all of you for being here today to be a part of a future where hopefully the swarm will never harm another living creature.
Trest will step forward and say, I was there on Suskalon when that planet's defenses were shattered. I was at the Battle of Stone Sea, and I have seen firsthand what the swarm are capable of on an improperly defended planet. But I have also seen that they can be resisted. we met a group of fighters who were struggling to survive on a swarm-infested planet, and they were surviving. They were defending. We have ascertained that the swarm have learned of this place and even now are seeking it, yet we know not why. So we have come to this place to warn you, to give you what defense we can, and we seek what they seek. Perhaps it holds the key to understanding what drives them. Perhaps it is the key to defeating them. But I will not see this place become another Suskalon. And then I give the Hylaxian symbol.
Zinnia will step forward or fly up in the air or whatever she would do. And she would address the crowd. My friends, I am a scientist, and I came into this mission with a view to science and not to faith, but my friends here have proven me wrong. Trust especially. I've been really struck by his faith to Hylax and have watched him grow as a fighter and grow as a friend, and I have nothing but respect for him and his strength. And I believe that there must be some way for science and faith to work together, and I think that we have to have the knowledge, but also the faith, in order to beat this swarm foe.
Duval will, golf clap, with these huge mitts and say, "Thank you all for your words here before the hosts of Hylax." I'm guessing Echo 7 and Sprouts, you want to lay back in the cut? No, a big speech.
Yeah, I don't think Sprouts would really want to. Big speeches aren't really his forte. It's not something he's, especially. I mean, like full disclosure, I thought about kind of giving an anti-speech, but even that is not really what Sprouts would do. I mean, he would just kind of
religious mooks yell.
No, I mean, seriously, I mean, I was going to have this whole thing about how he wasn't religious and how it doesn't matter because death is coming and we need to prepare for it. It's not time for grandstanding.
Oh my God. Oh, please give that speech. And there's children in the audience,
But
death
is coming. Mommy, make the plant man stop.
I mean, it is. They're the swarm. They're coming this way. I do think that as much fun as it might have been to give that speech, I feel like Sprouts would probably want to hang back.
Miles has an editor, an internal editor, and no.
Look, if this was Remy Quindar, I mean, he'd be shooting his mouth off as soon as he could. But
I think we would have told Remy just to stand in the hall.
Yeah, no, Remy is intelligent, whereas Sprouts is wise, and there is the difference.
And I don't think that would be the play. Sprouts prefers to hang back and observe, and in this situation, I think that's what he's going to do. He's kind of taking abreast of everything, and honestly, he's kind of a little put off by how unprepared these people are.
Echo 7, you in the same boat?
Now, I want you to remember that no person ever won a war by dying for his country.
Oh, no.
He won it by making the other poor, dumb guy die for his country. All this stuff you've heard about Suskalon not wanting to fight, want to stay out of the war, it's a lot of space horse dung. Suskalonians traditionally love to fight. All real Suskalonians love the sting of battle. Now, an army is a team. It lives, eats, sleeps, fights as a team. This individuality stuff is a bunch of crap. These bilious bastards who wrote that stuff about individuality for the Fifth Day Evening Post don't know anything more about real battle than they do about fornicating. Now, we have the finest equipment, finest food, the best spirit, and the best people in the galaxy. By Hylax, I actually pity those poor fools we're up against. By Hylax, I do. We're not just going to shoot them. We're going to cut their living guts out and use them to grease the treads of our tanks. Be seated.
The small child in the front row. stops clapping and starts crying out loud.
Now I feel like Sprout should give us anti-speech.
Yeah, finish strong, team. Let's finish strong.
You two should have gone first. What were
I know. I knew that Tyler was going to speak, and I was like, okay, yeah. But we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see if anybody else wants to do something. Yeah. Surely nobody's going to make a big fart noise into the microphone.
Yeah, the three of us kind of ruined it for you, didn't we? Sorry about that. By the way, following up my speech about faith and knowledge and science or whatever, I'm surprised you didn't make me roll a bluff check on that, by the way. But
well, you were under an effective zone of truth, so you're not lying. That was.
I'm not allowed to lie. But I think that she probably would have brought the crystals out and said, "This is a perfect example of how I was pragmatic and realized at the time that these were not useful where originally laid, and so I took them and now lay them properly at the feet of Hylax."
One of the Sheeran, a female Sheeran, steps up and says, "I'm sorry. Wherefore are these from? What are you speaking of, Zinnia?"
The crystals?
Yeah, Zinnia. Where'd you get them?
Upstairs, I think. Weren't they in the temple? Isn't that where we found them?
Yeah,
you took sacred offerings from the temple on the surface?
No,
Yes, but they were doing no good there. Here, they are much more useful to the congregation.
I think what she's trying to say is that there was an enemy of the faith who had taken the crystals from the altar, and then she retrieved them from him and brought them back down here for the temple down here. Isn't that what you mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Zinnia, I am surprised at you that you would have all of these crystals and all of them were from upstairs and none of them were from the temple on Suskalon.
Yes.
I'm surprised at you.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Wait. What happened to the temple on Suskalon?
I don't have a crystal from the temple on Suskalon. I don't know what you're talking about.
You're in a well of truth there, Zinnia.
I do not currently in my possession have a crystal from the temple on Suskalon.
Can we get back to the inspiring
No, it's not a lie. It's not a lie. I gave it to that guy, Lochwort.
And now, if you will all turn in your evidence to pay
crystal to somebody else. Can we get back to the speeches? I think we were better off.
I think we're getting off track here.
Yeah, a host Sheeran stands up out of their chair and says, I'm sorry, do some of you follow the teachings of Hylax? And we'll point to Echo 7 and says, this one just said that individuality is a bad thing? Is that what you were professing?
He's new.
He's new. In the temple of Hylax, where individuality is pretty much the most important of our tenets of the faith?
He's very new. Please forgive him. Very new. Very new.
Perhaps if you do not worship Hylax, which is fine, could you explain your connection to the Forever Queen for us all? Why do you follow in this path? M. Ranton, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm Ranton.
Why for are you here?
Hunter's not reading from a script. He's dumbfounded.
Yeah. Oh, no, he's definitely looking up another monologue. He's desperately looking through action movies for another monologue. He's like, oh, please, something that's like being yourself is good.
I'm sorry, Cobra can't give you what you need, Drew.
That was patent for the record. Just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah, I know what movie you were doing.
Just answer in regular character voice.
I am here to make the swarm pay dearly for the things that they have cost all of us. The words I speak may not always be my own, but understand that their intention is right.
The male Trox behind Tuva will stand up and say, I suppose we care to know, what is it you hope to find here in our monastery? We are but monks who worship a goddess of peace.
What use would we have for soldiers such as yourself?
The swarm appear to believe that there is something in the Forever Reliquary which will be important to accomplishing their total dominion over all life in this galaxy. We do not know exactly what that is. We were hoping that we would be able to discover it, along with your help.
Indeed. If we are unable to remove it from this place and keep it away from the swarm, then perhaps we will defend it on your behalf.
The goddess Hylax protects us here. Do you think, even if the swarm were interested in finding this place, we would ever allow that to come to be? She has provided for us and hid us this entire time since this comet's founding.
The swarm have created new components that are able to drain the knowledge and intelligence from other creatures. It is not a matter of if they find this place, it is a matter of when they find this place. And when they do, they will kill everyone here and suck out their brains. And they will take what they need to destroy everything.
Tuva will be like, just a little less truth, please. And as far as the sucking the brain bits go.
Sorry, you created the zone. I'm sorry.
The children in the front row now are just like melting into the pews and
do not worry, children.
Tears.
We will cut out their entrails and use them for our tank treads.
Jeez, Louise.
Thanks for doubling down on the tank entrail method we've got going on, Drew.
Tuva will kind of shake her head a little and continue on and say, indeed, you all, I hope you were sent by Hylax, but you must understand that we guard perhaps the most important secret here that is meant only for true champions of the Forever Queen. She'll turn to the group assembled here on the dais behind her. Well, therefore, I propose we use the portal room to place the newcomers through a series of trials to test their commitment to Hylax's ideals.
Here we go.
Diplomacy, peace, and to the defense of the innocent.
The suggestion from the Sacred Assembly here is met with several nodding heads. There's a general buzz of excitement among the monks in the pews and those gathered here, parishioners gathered here.
If it is agreed, then tomorrow, after our guests have had time to rest, we will begin with the trials of Hylax. And over the coming days, allow them to prove that they are not only who I believe them to be, but they are worthy to serve in the distinguished ranks of Hylax's clergy.
We will not disappoint, I promise.
I invite you all to rest now. Make use of our home here. Please, eat, rest, and any and all of the monks here in this monastery. If you have any questions or of need of anything, please do not hesitate to ask them. And please, everyone here, treat these like all other seekers and pilgrims to the goddess of peace as brothers and sisters. And with that, this assembly has come to a close. There's like a quick prayer to Hylax, and then people start shuffling off, including the assembly members here, who Tuva will introduce you to very quickly as they move off to various parts of the comet. The Shirin is Ithavine, as well as Hariskor. The Formian is named Mershmar, and the other Drox is named Rakarant.
I think Devasho would look at them all and say,
I apologize for some of the macabre language. We have been at war with the swarm for so long. It is difficult to be delicate sometimes. I am sorry.
That's fine. Okay, bye.
Father apologizes for nothing.
I didn't say anything. I held my tongue. That's a good point.
If you want more details, I can share with you my notes that I have taken during our journeys. I have many samples to show Would you like to look at them?
They mostly piece off here, and Tuva will be like, just give them a little bit of time. But if you all have some questions for me now, I believe that is the course of action we must go through in order to have the other 4 members of the assembly agree to what it is that you seem to be asking here.
Yes, what can you tell us of the trials?
The Forever Queen will decide exactly what they are, but they will be missions of peace and diplomacy. There are those in the universe who call out for peace, who pray, though they know not her name, to Hylax. We seek to expand and do good missions in her name, even amongst those aliens who have never heard of her before.
I see. So you say these are peace and diplomacy and there's one other thing. I forgot what it was. Can you help me?
Peace, diplomacy,
And there was
good times. Yeah.
Sorry. No, was there a third?
Defending the innocent.
Yeah,
defending the innocent.
That
Okay,
sounds
thank
right.
you. That's okay. I don't remember. I mean, whatever.
I know. There was a lot going on.
Yeah. I was trying to write a speech in like 30 seconds, so like give me a break. Okay.
Whoa.
Foul language in the temple. Foul language in the temple.
Any other questions for Tuva here? Anybody?
Hylax seeks to promote peace and diplomacy and protection of the innocent. Is there room in her teachings for violence in defense of these principles?
She unfortunately will not preach tenets of destruction, though one's defense against said destruction, of course, is allowed. You sound very similar to some of my youngest charges who you met at the surface, the 3 Hans who want to take the fight to Hylax's enemies, though there are none here against whom they need raise arms.
Okay. Very well.
Anyone else? Questions for Tuva here? You can come back and ask her questions at any point, but you got her here after the church is the ceremony is done.
Will we all be expected to participate in all of the trials?
Ah, yes, indeed. They must know that you are all true champions in your hearts.
I'm a champion of some skills. Diplomacy is not one of them. Can I hack something for you?
Of course. Perhaps if that is what Hylax needs in her mission, that will be the way that you defend the innocent and protect diplomacy.
I shall say my prayers this evening.
How long have you been here at the Forever Reliquary?
Many, many years, though I've only been abbot for about 10, I believe. Oh my. 10 long years, and in that time helped develop some of our technologies that allow us to do these good missions across the cosmos. But before that, I was a member of the Sacred Assembly, and before that, just an acolyte here, having come in a single pilgrimage and deciding to stay on. That was some many decades ago.
Are you familiar with a Professor Galchak?
The name does not ring a bell. Are they a member of the faith?
They are the...
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're the one talking. I've talked enough.
They are the person whose findings we are following that led us here.
Curious. Though, from my perspective, it was Hylax that put you on this path to begin with. And perhaps this Professor Galchak, whether they knew it or not, were all part of that greater cosmic plan.
In your speech, you mentioned that you connected with another person of the faith. Do you know who that might have been, or? how that connection came to be.
You guys can probably guess, but they indeed had perhaps a psychic connection with Zelanan on Suscalon months ago, when Suscalon was getting torn apart. Perhaps when Zelanan thought he was speaking with his goddess, he was in a way, but was also giving that information to other faithful across the universe. You all must require some rest. I can understand this has been a confusing ordeal already for you, but you have some time before we start the trials tomorrow. I do invite you to explore the entire comet. Go wherever you would like. People will treat you fairly here, but if you would like to speak with the Sacred Assembly and understand their point of view, that will, I am sure, help you in convincing them to vote you the true champions of Hylax that I believe you to be. As well, we will want them on our side when a decision must be made 3 days hence.
I will seek them out and we will see what we can learn.
Great. So I'm going to do a quick tour of the comet. Reveal some stuff here. It is very large, and there are indeed hundreds of people. Named characters, probably fewer than that. The northern wing, and we'll start revealing bits and pieces of that, is the religious center, the Forever Reliquary. Beyond the temple here lies a library and meeting and prayer rooms and places where you imagine a good deal of the monks spend their time. Let's see here. Swamp. Is that section up there? And the eastern wing is what looks like a dining hall. There's exercise facilities. You see school children of a few varying ages, what looks like in the middle of a class, and some more recreational spaces. That's over here to the east. Perhaps when you guys are taking a tour around, you see indeed what looks like the Trox in a kitchen of sorts. Rackrant, the Trox, serving up food. To the south are living quarters, and it's like a huge kind of expansive dormitory of several floors. Everything from private units to kind of like large family villas. And let's see, last but not least, to the west are what looks like Reliquary, the Forever Reliquary's utility sections, where there's a huge power generator, what looks like an artificial gravity generator and other life support systems. If this was a ship, this would be like kind of the engineering section of the comet. Bam. And it is there that you find Mirschmir, I believe, kind of like working a computer console that seems to be looking over aspects of the comet. Great. In between each of these sections, there's some large cavernous kind of rocky tunnels, but most of them connect through the temple, as well as there's a large kind of like nestled above the temple and the library's hydroponics center. So like vast fields where you see all kinds of foods being grown and things that are helping like the life support oxygen systems and whatnot. And a younger acolyte will take you guys to a room where you guys can rest up and leave your gear. And if anyone needs to rest or wants to rest here, you can. They're fairly comfortable beds and perhaps some of the nicer arrangements that you've had in several months. What would you guys like to do?
Sprouts would probably want to kind of further look around a little bit. I mean, he definitely wants to. Those beds are pretty inviting, but the question of what the swarm are looking for has still not been answered. No one seems to know it, and that's really what is bugging him the most. I mean, most often he could probably piecemeal something together that there's something, some sort of power or some sort of ancient thing that could be used. But so far, he's not really found much here except these religious people and the one temple above. So not everything's really kind of clicking to him as to why the Midnight Company was sent in this direction, and that's really getting under his skin.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps besides the swoop hammers you saw on the Han siblings, no other monk wears a weapon. Any armor it looks like they have on them seems to be more like spacesuit kind of armor as opposed to, what you would want going up in a battle.
Right, and so he's even thinking that it might not necessarily be a weapon per se that they're looking for. He's even entertaining the possibility that if these are people who are proponents of peace and pacificity, it might be something that encourages that. So if the swarm had gotten something that maybe makes people more passive or peaceful, it would make them easier prey.
Something perhaps indeed nefarious is going on. Do you want to focus your investigations in any particular wing?
Oh man.
Rakarent has a big weapon. Seems like that's a person that would be.
Like I said, I'm not necessarily concerned about weapons,
but that may be somebody who's more concerned about threats and therefore may.
If you're just open. Looking at the art for this Crocs I pulled up,
is that just
that's a meat tenderizer. He's working in the kitchen. He's just got a big old club.
I mean, let's not forget that these people clearly have psychic abilities that are beyond Zinnia's understanding, certainly. So I don't think that weapons are necessary when you have psychic capabilities.
And Miles, to your point, I mean, this does have a connection to the temple on Susquehanna that had the crystal that seemed to be keeping Swarm at bay.
Right.
And that seems to be the part of the larger mystery, at least for me, thinking that.
Right, and I think that instead of just going to bed, it's not that Sprout doesn't really trust anybody, but like he's just the mystery of what is going on is bothering him. So he's not necessarily trying to do anything too clandestine. He's just having a look around, maybe kind of poking his head in places, doing some light snooping. But I mean, he's not trying to pull one over on anybody. He's really just, I would say, can't sleep at the moment and is trying to let his brain work.
I think Zinnia feels similarly uneasy and would try to seek out the thing she understands best, which would be a med bay or doctors or somebody that, I don't know, does something vaguely sciencey.
Well, yeah, let's we'll get in some conversations here, because if you ask for something along those lines, Rebecca, I think anyone here on the Forever Reliquary would point you towards the eastern wing, where you will find one of the Sheeran assembly members for Hylax, perhaps in a small medical office, maybe treating like a skinned knee or something when you come upon them. And this is Ithavine, who will, do you see here over on the eastern wing?
Yes.
I've made a map, audience members, that is like 300 feet wide in either direction,
so
just to try and represent some of the scale of this huge facility, which I think is pretty cool. So yeah, Ithavine, seeing you coming, will kind of like nod their head. There's a host Sheeran who wears fairly unadorned, but when you meet them, a pale blue lab coat over kind of light armor. And will say, yes, welcome, Zinnia, was it?
It is. It's nice to meet your acquaintance.
They are contacting you psychically via their Sheeran telepathy. And as they do so, we'll say one of your squad mates put the fear of Hylax in some of our younger children. They have been playing war since you all arrived, taking turns pretending to be the swarm and getting their brains sucked out.
Well, I can tell you from experience, it is very scary seeing them in real life. I think that my crewmate only had the best intentions, although his methods may have been a little iffy back there. Sorry about that.
You've seen the war up close. You've seen what the swarm can do. There are no non-worshippers of Hylax in a foxhole. Even here, we believe that we could be touched by the edges of war in systems like Suscalan.
Yes, and I must say I've been a little fearful for you because it seems that no one here is at all prepared for what may be coming your way. I mean, faith alone is not going to save this civilization.
Yes, that I agree. I have medical supplies here to treat a number of ailments, but nothing in the way of widespread war if it were to find itself on our doorstep. Perhaps you could take a look at our protocols and medical preparations and help us get a leg up if war were to come to the Forever Reliquary.
Yes, I'd be happy to assist in that.
And I'm sorry if you or your squad mates have anything to donate as well. We would love any medicinals or medical supplies you have that you are not in need of.
I do think we may have some stuff back on the ship that we harvested from our last planet. What was our last planet? Ilamchuva?
Mm-hmm.
I'll see what supplies we can donate to your cause.
Mm-hmm. So go ahead and make me a medicine check. You're looking over kind of their medical systems that they have here on the Forever Reliquary.
Okay, is it 27?
Okay, so looking through this, there's many cases which you can kind of point out that would impress Ithavine a great deal. From ways to distribute supplies across, the 4 different quadrants of the Forever Reliquary to, different medical techniques that can be taught to just about anyone of any age for, stanching wounds and things like that. And after a few hours, they seem to be warming up to you a great deal, Zinnia, and says, I want to thank you very much for spending time with me. I must say, when Tuva introduced you all, I did not know what to expect, but it is clear to me that you, at least, are those whom Hylax would seek to protect.
Thank you. That's incredibly sweet.
Well, thank you.
I assure you, my comrades, I'm probably the least good of all of us. So please look well on them.
Oh, okay, will do.
Odd confession.
Ithavine will indeed leave you with a greater opinion than before. If you do have supplies you can donate, you can, but I'll say you've made the DC to kind of get them on your side with sharing medical skills. You didn't have to hack anything, Rebecca.
Great.
Awesome. Does anybody else, is there any other locations on the comet you'd like to go to, or any other people you want to speak with?
I feel like we need to talk to all of them. based on the conversation with the divine here.
I guess I misunderstood what we were being asked to do.
Tuva was like, the Sacred Assembly is kind of in charge of your fate, of what happens during these trials. And eventually it will come down to kind of a vote. So getting them on your side or getting their perspective of why that might be recalcitrant to give up whatever secrets that they have, or whatever powers they might have. That being said, in addition, you can also, like Sprouts, just explore the facility if you want. And Devasha, you have a standing invitation to meet with Tuva when you're ready as well.
Yeah, he'll probably want to take a nap first, and then he'll do that.
Sure.
I think I would like to go speak with Heriskor if I can.
So that is the female Sheeran, correct?
Yeah.
You will find them to the north, I believe. Indeed, and looks like one of the libraries of the monastery wing. The library seems like a place I might go to see if I can find some historical documents on this place. Perhaps that is a place where we might begin searching for information of what the swarm might want with this place. If it is a place of peace, then what on earth could be of interest to them here? So you find her kind of like back in stacks of data modules. There are physical books, there are scrolls and text, and she's wearing what looks like a smock and a face guard as she's going through the stacks here and kind of sees you walking in and says, yes, Trest, is it not?
Yes, Mistress Heriskor. How do you do?
Welcome to the Sacred Assembly's library.
Thank you. I was hoping to learn more about this place, the Forever Reliquary, and to learn more about what it is that is done here. Perhaps this will help illuminate the purpose, the designs of the swarm on this place.
Of course, yes. The library is technically open to everyone here on the Forever Reliquary.
Technically?
Yes, the doors are never locked.
But I'm not supposed to be here right now. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Was there something in particular that you wanted to touch?
I have something to admit.
Yes.
I don't know the Dewey Decimal System.
Oh no! Oh! It's so vitally important to our work.
I believe it. Would you be willing to help me find some texts that might be relevant to our purpose here?
Why, of course, yes.
And this is not just pretext to have more conversation with her, but in part, I mean, while we're sort of walking through the stacks, I'd try to ask her, like, so what is your perspective on all of this? I know that we are a bunch from some rough stock. We've been through a lot in the last few weeks, but I can promise you that they are all very much committed to the preservation of life.
When you came in and were wearing the heavy armor of a soldier and I saw the battle damage, I was confused as to why you would come to a place like this. Hearing you and your compatriots speak, it did assuage my fears somewhat, but I'm I'm interested to know what you know of Hylax and these tomes and histories of her works that we have collected here.
I know some of the I forget her sort of common name, like the something queen.
Forever Queen.
The Forever Queen.
Forever Reliquary, Forever Queen. You know, got a whole
forever thing going on there.
Trademark on forever.
Yes, I was raised by followers of the Forever Queen. I am, as you could see, not all of what I learned stuck, but I followed Hylax as a young person, but as time went on, I found that I needed to forge my own path, and that led to work with the Susquehanna Defense Forces, and found that I was quite good at it. And, well, you take one mission, and that leads to a promotion, and you take another, and before you know it, you haven't read your books or maintained your prayers for some time, and so I am somewhat out of practice.
To my knowledge, Susquehanna maintains only a defense force. Is that right? You were not out there attacking other worlds or raging war across systems.
This is true.
You were acting in defense of your planet.
Oh, yes.
It is one of the tenets of our faith that you've perhaps followed your entire life, as you have sought to defend the innocent wherever they stand.
My understanding of her beliefs was somewhat different. I didn't feel there was the same acceptance for my methods as you seem to grant me now, and I appreciate your generosity. Thank you.
You should not be so hard on yourself. As I said, perhaps it is our own fears within us that we put on other people, but from what it sounds like is you being raised in the church and all, you know well both what is asked of followers and what are some of the follies of our goddess Hylax. Jabir, why don't you make me, you can do either culture or mysticism check. I imagine mysticism a little bit better for you.
Yeah, culture is not bad, but mysticism is better. Ooh, 29.
Yeah, so just talking with her maybe for like an hour or so, she will, help bring out some like beginner texts, and like when she realizes that,
Hylax for babies.
Yeah, just like, books that look fairly new.
An Idiot's Guide to the Forever Reliquary.
Tomes that have been written within like the last 30 years, and you see like maybe written here in the Forever Reliquary.
Right. Yeah.
About the faith.
There's a lot of like reviews and stuff, not a lot of like old timey primary sources. That's not really what we're looking for.
Yeah, but once you start talking about Hylax in greater detail, perhaps some of the things you learned when you were a child, she'll bring out the goods, the firsthand accounts of people who saw Hylax like with their own eyes and experienced other prophetic visions throughout history of, Hylax going and telling them to sue for peace here in this world.
I think that Trest would find that very very touching that she would share that with him.
Yeah, perhaps
that's a nice thing.
You do still sense some trepidation on their part, and
I didn't roll a 36 kind of success.
Well, no. Do you have sense motive?
I believe I have some of that. Yeah,
make me a roll. It's fairly simple here. I can't believe you haven't caught on yet, but 22 on sense motive. They're just very worried about you just like ripping a manuscript apart or getting like oils on it and stuff. So
I make sure to wash my hands between each.
You see, there is some PPE equipment for handling the stuff, and if you voluntarily put that on, it'll put their mind at ease.
Very much so. Very much so. These are precious texts.
Yeah. All right. So we got someone chatting up the medical facilities here, someone in the library. Let's move on to somebody else. In Echo 7, anywhere you want to go?
Who seems the most into the social stuff? The I guess actually, you know what? I'm a sensate. Let's go to the cafeteria. Let's talk to Rakarant.
Yeah, the big old Trox is indeed like by the time you see him first there, he's starting a shift, and you come back hours later, he's still serving up food and cooking huge batches of what looks like stews and soups and other very, very hearty food. The male Trox indeed is not only cooking for people right now, but it looks like he's doing meal prep for meals in the future. There's multiple Shirin sous chefs with mise en place that they're working on here, and chopping up fruits and veggies from the hydroponics above. Rakarant will indeed welcome you into the kitchen to bring up a knife and or just hang out. The chefs here are telling stories and joking with one another, and he says, I'm sure that Echo 7, with as interesting a tale as you told us at the Sacred Assembly, you've a tale or two to tell.
Some tales are mine, some tales are those of others, but I will tell them no matter what.
We'll get to like scrubbing some pans, and seems kind of lost in thought as maybe one of his chefs starts telling a story of how he ate like 50 hard-boiled eggs in one sitting. Make me a sense motive check here as you're spending a little time with Rakarant.
Oh, this is gonna go great. I have a -1 to sense motive.
Oh, good.
But all a natural 20.
Straight up, it's a DC 18 to figure out indeed that when someone brings up Tuva and her visions, he gets to scrubbing like the pans like there's no tomorrow with a huge piece of steel wool, like almost like boring a hole through some of the pans that he's cleaning.
So does that mean he's off put by those visions?
He seems trying to hide the fact that he's very anxious about them. He's got a high anxiety.
Would you mind if I assisted you with the dishes?
Well, of course, that is fine. If you want to spend some time here in the kitchen while you are aboard the Forever Reliquary, we would love to have you here. Any recipes you could bring us from perhaps your home world, or I'm sorry, I know very little of the Ranta. Is that right?
I apologize. Our culture is not known much for the production of food, but the consumption of food is something that I personally find much pleasure in.
Do you have a culture check to share maybe some Susquehan cuisine while you live there with them?
Yeah, let's see what we got here. It's 17.
Yeah, I'm gonna say with the little bonus you got there, not the most amazing meal, but like Susquehan burger and fries you can share while you're chatting him up, and
the flavor is not necessarily the most unique. However, the nostalgia that it induces is fantastic.
The Rakarant, the Trox will write the recipe down, some of the spices and things you perhaps describe, find some equivalent in his cupboards and start cooking it up, and we'll share it around with some of the other chefs and says, this is quite good, perhaps something we can serve. I want to thank you for coming down here. Perhaps I've been throwing myself into my work for some time now, worried of Tuva, as she admitted herself. She has been keeping all of us parishioners at arm's length since she has had these visions.
Visions can be difficult. If one does not fully understand them within themselves, it could make them seem more off-putting than intended.
You sound like you have first-hand experience. Have you had visions yourself?
Not personally, no, but I will say that I am familiar with someone who has.
I mean, are you lying to him, or are you?
No, Tress has visions.
Echo's had visions.
Oh, I was going to say Tress has had visions in a bunch of dreams, and I'm just trying not to this guy's also had a bunch of visions. Be weird about him. I'm trying to kind of downplay that.
You've had some visions yourself, though, of some kind of endless desert.
Oh yeah, and
is that something you'd be willing to admit, or?
Yeah, I mean, we might die in this trial tomorrow, so why not?
Yeah, so sharing war stories and spending some time with Rakrant seems to relax him a good deal, and by the end of that shift, he'll sit down and have a meal with you and some other friends, and invite you to talk about maybe some movies. They get them here, but they get them a little bit late. They have someone bringing like a hard drive or something.
I bet they've got some classics that I don't have.
Yeah, no, all their movies are like 10 years old. They're just a little bit behind. Let's cut back to Sprouts Marlowe. Indeed, Miles, you want to take a look around here? Do you want to talk to people?
Yeah, he'll kind of poke around a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Perfectly fine.
Maybe start with
So there's maybe a couple of hours to do a gather information with diplomacy. Do you want to start by doing that?
Yeah,
go right ahead.
Okay, dokie. That's a 32.
Oakley dokley. All right, so this is you like interviewing like several monks and stuff, and talking. I'm guessing you're asking about the rock itself, Tuva, things like that. And you find, I can tell you with that everything. The most secret piece of information here on this general information is 30. So, some of the potential monks that have like been up for assembly before will talk about it fairly candidly with you. If you're asking, what is the secret? Like, what does this place hold?
What's the deal with this comet?
A monk named like Poljaki will say, the Forever Reliquary is named this because, why, it guards one of our most important relics of Hylax herself. She left this place where Sheeran met her and left them with a gift. You see, she had a crown crafted for her by the Sheeran priests hundreds of years ago on Suskelin, and they brought it to this comet. The statue of Hylax in the temple here shows the crown that she was wearing. It is not well known, though, that this artifact exists, so many churches of Hylax, they do not depict her with this crown, but it is known here on the Reliquary. Many residents say that this crown of Hylax, it can perform powerful magic. I believe that is what Tuva saw you seeking here in our temple. No one is able to say exactly what it is. Only the Sacred Assembly Abbot, Tuva herself, is granted access to it, you see.
So no one even knows what this crown's supposed to do?
No, but it was imbued with the power of our god, so it is something, as I said, beyond sacred and beyond powerful for our followers. Perhaps it is a reason people instinctively know to seek out this place.
Well, it must have some kind of power, because the swarm wouldn't be after it if it was nothing. And everything that we've followed since we left Susquehanna has led us here.
I believe you to be a wise plant. I understand you have many questions that perhaps Tuva is not even willing to answer yourself, but it is my opinion that is why you are here.
Great. All right. Well, you knocked that one out, Miles.
Sorry.
That's all good. Indeed, this crown of Hylax, many monks will know about. So, like, you can talk to them. Very few have seen it before, but it is. There are a couple of relics here, as the goddess did step foot on this comet hundreds of years ago.
Mm-hmm. And they unanimously don't know what exactly it does. This crown.
No.
And I think Sprouts would know that he wasn't gonna get any information from Tuva, at least not until the trials were over. But he's at least satisfied, because I mean, even if he knew, it wouldn't really help inform the situation, but he at least knows that there is something specific, something concrete that the swarm are trying to get, and that's really all he needs to know. Is he needs to know that they are that the path that he is being led on is not some crazy goose chase that, you know, he's just making up dots to connect. So for him, the knowledge that this crown exists, and he will absolutely share it with his group, but that's enough for him to, you know, I'm going to get some rest.
Sure. Yeah, and you can share that with everyone else if you want. Pretty easily. Miles, I was going to make you do like a whole bunch of other roles and stuff, but I think you can just actually, I think it says each of these roles is 1d4 hours, so you found the secret of the Forever Reliquary in 3 hours time. Just talking with people and getting that
open and shut case, Johnson.
But also, I will say with the leftover time, if you want, you can just walk around and you find very few areas off limits. The only place that does look locked up is in like the hydroponics bay, and it's an area I have blacked out here on the map. And you can ask about that, and that is indeed the special holoscreen room that the Sacred Assembly uses for missions, and Tuva installed one of her first things she did as abbot. And talking to people, it allows them to view planets and moons and look for areas that are in need of Hylaxian aid. But yeah, indeed, there is a lock on that door. So one of the few things that's locked up.
Well, I'm a little curious. Can I fiddle with the lock?
I mean, if you really want to, yeah.
Yeah, why not?
What's the worst that can happen?
There's a lot of bad things that can happen, but
it is indeed a superior lock. Roll me an engineering check.
Oh boy, I only have a plus 11 to engineering. I don't know if this is that great.
I'll let you know then. You cannot open it.
Oh, I can't? Okay.
Yeah.
Then never mind.
It's a DC 40, so.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's a superior lock. Then Sprout's content to go to bed.
It's like a bank lock. Awesome. let's move on then, last but not least, to Devasho, right? As later that night, after you get some rests, a young monk will come by your room and ask if you want to meet with Tuva, and he sends you up to the temple's garden grounds underneath these huge hydroponics, just kind of pumping air into the rest of the facility. And as you head up there, you'll find Tuva, and she'll welcome you onto what looks like a small wooden temple shrine, just out of the way of some large kind of like farm sheds. It is made of a purple wood that looks ancient and well worn, but as you step on it, feels harder than steel. Devasho, welcome to the Shrine of the Pure Heart. I often come here to reflect on my past decisions and try to spiritually heal myself.
Devasho kind of looks around and says,
"This is a wonderful place. I hope after this is all over, I can come back, visit more."
I must say, the visions that I've had of late, I can tell you in private, they are quite disturbing. The swarm, why, it is hard to concentrate when I've seen visions of those that I hold dear lying prostrate before me. Future visions, mind you, perhaps of the dead by clawed swarm hands. And is it because I failed to act, or because I took action? The visions do not tell me which is the case.
The burden of having a prophetic vision is like reading the end of a book without the middle. You know what is going to become, what is going to happen, but you have no idea which route will take you there. This burden that you bear, I do not envy it.
Thank you. I have called you here because I have felt something in you that I know must be solved before you can continue down your own path, and down the path that I believe Hylax has brought you here for. Inside of you is a darkness. Is that right?
Yes. There is a voice, a corruption that has spread to not only my body, but also into my powers. They have been tempting and useful at times, but also have caused problems on the battlefield and keep me from, well, receiving healing is just one of the few problems it has manifested itself in.
I believe you know it be true that we are of the same clan of Trox. Perhaps I am your great aunt removed, though I think it matters not our direct relation, but the fact that our blood be the same. And I must admit, before times when the darkness of the gap enveloped us all, I believe our peoples, our clan, were not good. In our past, we had ancestors who did terrible things. They were conquerors and warlords, slavers and pirates, you see. And in our blood was that chaos, was that madness of those evil deeds. And because of that, our peoples have thus since been susceptible to influence. The madness that has a hold of you now, the darkness inside your moat. I know not what it is exactly, but do you know how you came by it?
When I try to focus on it, it is difficult. There was an event in a battle a while ago which I believe to be the cause of it, but it has crept into my mind more and more over time. It is hard to feel the exact point from when it did begin.
That is the only way that evil can envelop us, is if we allow it inside, piece by piece, until it destroys us. I must admit I do not know that form of evil, but plenty of Trox have. and I can offer you here and now an end to its words in your mind, but you must know that that will not be the end of it. That will never be the end of it. For in order to face that which afflicts you, Devasho, you must do what our ancestors did and harness the powers granted us by Hylax in order to confront that evil. She has begun swirling her arms magically again as a aura fills this small shrine, Tyler. And you see a golden light kind of emulating from her that eventually surrounds you both. And so she starts speaking Nachaki words in this ancient form of the language that you can tell has a magical weight to them. All of a sudden there's a crashing noise, that of sheets of rain on metal and far off thunder in the distance. And you are surrounded by a darkened desert whose sands kind of beat down on a dilapidated structure's roof, forming that sound of pinging rain. Tuva is there with you in this dark building, and she says, "Where are we?"
I am not sure.
Devasho, you must be strong. Whatever happens, you must not. The idea of Tuva there with you kind of drifts away, and as you turn around, you are left with another Trox, that of your own reflection, and it is in a mirror in this building that has a huge crack in this pane of glass, and a reflection of Devasho kind of speaks back where Tuva once was and says, "Devasho, you know, she speaks lies to us."
I have followed your words many times, and it has led to our death, nearly. I think it is time I put my trust in someone else. Although she may speak lies, even if that is true, they are better than the ones that you speak in my mind.
We have kept the promise. We have kept powers within us. Without them, we would not be alive, Devasho.
And with them, I have barely been able to live. The only reason that we are still here is because of my comrades. You and I have both failed again and again. And there is no way that I'm ever going to find true success, the ability to save my family, with you inside me any longer.
I will always be inside you, Devasho. And when you believe that I am gone, I'll find you. I'll find inside you the void. And when you are at your weakest, we shall return. I will no longer ask, then I will take, Devasho. I will take you. Know, true that your soul has been marked. There is nowhere in the world you can go. I will not find you. It can already, whatever this is, feel you pulling away as there are bright flashes of light, and you see behind you your shadow form. There are three very bulky, hulking figures, dark, twisted figures standing outside in a sandstorm, larger than yourself. As they advance, you're kind of pulled out of whatever this world was, pulled out of seeing these dark figures, and you are just back in the shrine, Tuva in front of you. The magic kind of connection ends, and she says, "It is done. The connection has been severed. It is done." You look up, Devasho, and your moat is now a completely different color. It's not that inky black you had before. And you feel the weight of the curse having been lifted from you. I guess I can ask you, do you want to change the color of your moat? Don't often get a chance to do that.
I know. Hylax is more of a green, isn't she? She's green and black. I can't make the moat green. Let's make it like a really warm yellow. Something that just evokes, kind of a feeling of tranquility.
You are clear of the poison in your soul, but as I said, it will not let you go that easily, Devasho. You must seek it out in this world and cut it from yourself, out of your heart, much like I have cut it from you. Does that make sense?
The corruption spoke of taking me in moments of weakness. I will prepare myself to make sure that when those moments happen, I am still strong enough to rebuke it. I just cannot begin to thank you enough for helping me.
The rest of the day can pass fairly tranquilly. You had gone to sleep prior to this, but if you want to go back and take a nap, it actually feels like the first time you've taken a rest in months. Eating food, like everything has more flavor now. Rakarant serves you up a great massive pot of chili, and you can down it. And almost immediately, everyone else in your party kind of notices your chitin darkening a little bit, perhaps getting back some of the color it once had. Almost as if a massive storm cloud has indeed passed away from Devasho's soul.
He's going around like, hello, good morning. He comes up to Sprouts, just gives him a hug.
I'm no longer a scary, undead-looking bug person.
You start showering heal spells on Devasho.
just like Salt Bay, just like, ew.
Pour your healing into me. Yes.
Zenny would take a Q-tip and ask him to like swab the inside of his mouth or something. Like, something's going on with you. I've got to study this.
But about 24 hours after you arrive in the Forever Reliquary, the following like morning for them, the assembly will kind of bring you all together and bring you to that locked door. Sprouts to the door of the trials room where it will take place through this hydroponic crops field of crops. It's actually the three Han who will kind of like gather you and bring you there. Kiarth kind of like knocks on the door and waits outside as you're brought inside a fairly plain rectangular chamber, just kind of cut out of the rock of the the comet. There's some chairs and floor cushions along the back, and maybe some small tables and things as well. Ooh, I don't think it really matters. This is not technically the map, but I'm revealing it here on the north side of the facility. But the main thing that strikes you is a huge, gigantic hollow screen, almost like a home theater trivid den along the back wall, 12 feet tall and about 30 feet wide. And it's dark when you guys enter in. Tuva stands in front of the screen in what looks like her abbot's religious, like, finest regalia, long robes and perhaps like some sashes and things with the mark of Hylax on them. And she'll greet you all and have you come in. And at this point, besides your stay on Ultranius, I think this might be some of the first like R&R you've had in some time to actually be with people and relax and have some good food. So I imagine you guys are pretty happy at this point. And she will bid you all. I don't know if anyone brought your any weapons with you, but she'll kind of put a hand up and say, you will not need them in these trials. I can tell you that. If you would like to carry them, that is your own prerogative, but they will not be required. Yeah, Echo 7 has a massive cannon on his shoulder. I keep forgetting this. Drew, what do you think?
It's optional, but it does make me feel better.
Uh-huh.
Don't leave
Like
me,
he's
big gun
Blinky.
daddy. Yeah. Heavy weapon binky.
I don't know if I can leave my moat behind. I think it just follows me.
Yeah.
So
Us moat users are
I just have to pinky promise I won't chop anybody's head off in here.
pretty much.
Like my dad.
Tuva will go into explaining, when she started as abbot, and this is something Sprout's already figured out. This was her first major work on the Reliquary, was set up this screen, this magically infused screen where they can view from afar, systems the prodigal stone passes through, and kind of overview life there and interject themselves where need be through the use of a portal, and just basically do the work of Hylax through missions. She'll explain it saying, there is times which Hylax dictates we must step in and provide a positive good. With a prayer, I can transform this screen into a portal, and through that portal we send our most skilled monks to travel to locations and serve the Forever Queen's will. Praise Hylax. This, and the assembly behind her will kind of answer with, Hylax, hear our prayer. This has been the body of my good works, and I believe at first this was my own doing, but with you here, I understand that this was for a purpose, so we could perhaps test those like you and make sure you are indeed true champions of Hylax. The portal will stay open for but 12 hours, so we will have to work fast. Sometimes in our missions we are successful, and sometimes we are not. We keep watch on our agents, our monks who go through there. We keep detailed records of our actions in case future generations of monk pass by this location again. The prodigal stone is currently not within range of any circumstances which would require our intervention, but I believe Hylax will grant our prayers and bring us to 3 areas within the next few days where potential champions such as yourself can showcase her ideals. And if she does, the screen will reveal the first. Before that happens, do any of you have any questions of what these trials may entail?
I think we have gathered what we need.
We will be watching your performance from here, from the rock. Hopefully you will not put yourselves in any positions where you'll need saving, but if need be, you can always come back through the portal. It will be visible from the other side, only to those who know of its location. There's some more prayers going on for not too long, maybe 10-15 minutes, but all of a sudden there's a kind of a quake, a low vibration in the room as the screen begins to draw energy from the comet. And Tuva kind of shakingly nods her head and says, yes, it has started. There's a feeling of sudden velocity in the overcoming the artificial gravity, as it feels like the comet is moving very fast, physically faster than is potentially possible, as a mystical energy kind of coats the floor, the ceiling, the walls, and you all. And as all the Sacred Assembly's prayers kind of grow and fill this chamber, eventually there's a rumbling noise that it cuts them off. And as soon as this happens, maybe 10 or 15 seconds pass by with this deafening rumbling sound. All of a sudden everything turns back to normal, and behind Tuva the hollow screen illuminates, revealing a landscape of colorful plants and a blue sky you can almost mistake for a painting. as she opens up her arms and says, "Praise Hylax, for our prayers have been answered. Let the trials begin next time on Cosmic Crit, to be continued." Hey, we'll figure out what's going on in this crazy book next time. Oh boy. Oh, this is a long episode. Looking at my notes here.
Yeah,
we got through a lot of talky.
We've been off for a few weeks. It's about time we got in those minutes.
Yeah.
Get back into it.
Guys, thanks for playing with me.
Thank you, Patrick.
This is one for the books. And thanks for only rolling rocks tonight, completely destroying every DC skill DC you came across. Even Drew, that
world
natural
on
20.
our side. We got the whole.
Yeah, wait until we actually need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Drew, I think that's the first time I've ever seen someone with a negative in a skill make a fairly high DC. I mean,
I just looked at all the rolls from tonight, and we've had one below 10. So just smashing them. Statistically,
wasting them all on skill checks.
No, you burnt through every single challenge here. So anyway, we'll figure out what that means, what the trials are next time on Cosmic Crit. Thanks so much, guys, and
thank you.
We'll catch you here next time.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Cosmic Crit. This episode has been made possible through a sponsorship with Roll20 and the backing of our Critamanda fans on Patreon. Thanks again and have a great week.